my name is Lauren McCullough and I'm co-founder and CEO of Trommel, and welcome back to Sell More Parts Faster. In this specific course, we're going to be walking through the W3 model, which is going to introduce the concepts of who you're selling to, what they're actually buying, and why they're buying it from you. Now, this is going to be the foundation of the entire course, and so get out your pen and paper, let's get started. So the very first part of W3 is going to talk about who. And you might have a quick answer, right? Who are you selling to off the top of your head? But that answer is probably going to be pretty vague, right? I sell to automotive enthusiasts. I sell to amateur racers. I sell to heavy duty equipment companies. But what actually matters is that you can get incredibly specific and incredibly narrow about who your actual customer is. You need to not only understand who this person is from a demographic standpoint, but what do they do? What are their ages? What is the preferences that this specific person has? And not only who they are from a profile perspective, but where are they in the journey of the context that you are actually selling your products? So again, let's use the example of, let's say that you're selling to amateur racers, right? Maybe you have accessories and products that are specifically for this market. Well, what type of amateur racers? Are you talking about kart racers? Are you talking about the person who's been a racing enthusiast their whole life, who's finally taking the next steps in their career? Have they been on a simulator? Have they not? Right? It's these specific questions that you have to get lasered in on. We had to do this as a company here at Trommel, right? We couldn't just talk to any e-commerce seller in the auto part industry. That might feel focused. What actually mattered is that we understood that we were selling to e-commerce managers, specifically those who are trying to improve their bottom line. And we have about 25 other layers about how deeply we went for this. You need to also do this with your customers. You need to have a lasered in view of exactly who you're selling to. And don't worry, it might feel niche and it might feel like you're excluding your entire market. But it's this exact exercise is the only way you're going to be able to get true alignment across your sales team. So go ahead and pause the video right now. Make a list. Maybe work with someone else on your team. Who is this person? What are their preferences? What specifically are they doing right now? Where are they in their buying journey? Where are they in their buying journey when they came to your website? How do you want them to feel after they've made that purchase? Now take this time to describe them in as much detail as possible. How'd that go? My guess is that you're still not specific enough. So we're gonna try again. I assume that you've already done some demographics, right? Maybe you focus on exactly how old this person was, what their gender was, maybe some other preferences even about, where they typically buy products. But did you talk about where they live? Did you talk about some different psychographic preferences that they might have, as maybe how they typically make purchasing decisions? Are they doing it alone? What's their income threshold? Are they looking for someone who can deliver products tomorrow? Or are they looking for a strong warranty? Do they need help installing the part that they're purchasing from you? Or do you feel like this is someone who's pretty equipped to do it themselves? Are they another business who is buying this because it's going to have the highest quality that they can then pass on to their customers? Right? Maybe you also have to understand who this person is post-purchase for you. What are their expectations of you? What are their expectations of your company? How much of an update do they need about tracking information, and do they want to be able to have someone answer the phone when they call if they have a problem? These are all things that are going to be incredibly important to understand about your customers, because it's really going to define the foundation of your business. And once you understand that, you can understand exactly how to communicate it to them and make sure your entire team is doing the same. All right, so hopefully you've been able to do this with your team. You've gotten a really good understanding of who. Well, you're probably going to like this, but now your job is to prove yourself wrong. Not prove yourself right, prove yourself wrong, because we have to actually test our assumptions. And we want to do it with a little bit of rigor. And if we just assume that we're going to go prove ourselves right, then we're going to have confirmation bias and we're going to miss something, and then we're going to end up right back here in another few months. So you need to go out and validate this. If you've been selling for a while, you can probably validate some of this with historical data. You can go back and you can understand who your customers are, maybe even do some interviews. We highly encourage you actually throughout this entire W3 process to go back and actually speak to people. But a lot of this information, if you're selling on your website, might already be available. Or if it's not, go out and talk to the people that you described in this profile. Do these people exist? Do they actually exist with the same overlapping behaviors that you described? It's this validation exercise that's actually going to take this content and put it to work. It might feel a little redundant for us to have a conversation around what, which is a second W in W3. And you might feel that you know exactly what your customer is buying, right? You're selling parts. Of course they know what they're buying. But that's not really that simple. And now this is the case both for retailers and manufacturers. For manufacturers, let's say that you're selling a brake system and you're selling into other manufacturing operations. You're selling to Ford, you're selling to GMC, but do you actually know what they're buying? Are they buying performance? Are they buying safety? Are they buying reliability because they know that you've gotten through the challenges of supply chains? Are they buying someone who's trusted? You have to understand this relationship because it's not just about your products. We in the automotive industry, we love to obsess about our products, that we have better performance and test specs for spec. But we're still all in the people business. And understanding what the person on the other side of that transaction is actually purchasing is critical. This is also the case with retailers, and it's probably even most relevant with retailers. So if you've got an online website and you're selling parts specifically to consumers, what they're actually buying from you might not be that part. They might be actually buying that experience they can have because of that purchase. They might be buying that protective seat cover to make sure that their kids can actually eat in the car and not completely ruin their brand new vehicle. You might be selling to heavy duty blue collar workers who need to make sure that their truck performs on the job site the way that they expect. And the parts that you're selling are a critical part of that journey. So again, it's not just about the part. It's about what they're actually buying from you that you have to deeply understand. One of the things that can be a little bit challenging about what is the fact that we're in e-commerce. And so we're expected to do omni-channel selling. And that can kind of be at odds with what you're actually selling. Because you might have the same exact parts that are sold on Amazon versus sold on your website, but that consumer is buying something different. If they're buying them on Amazon, maybe eBay, Walmart, they might be buying that 2-day shipping. They're buying that 30-day no questions guarantee. And they're also probably buying the lowest price point. Versus if they go to your website, what's the difference there? And what's important isn't that you don't think you can support both of those channels. In fact, there may be a very good reason why you should sell on both those channels. What you need to understand is there are specific nuances to those. And for you to do it as a new seller may be at competing odds with each other. So take the time to understand what people are buying and really take that analysis at the channel level and make sure that you can validate this. Because all of these exercises are only helpful, just like when we talked about the who, is if you can validate it. What are your customers actually buying? Go back, find those who fit in your demographic and try to understand the core motivations of what actually created that purchase and what value they felt that they received from you. So the last W of W3 is focused on why. Why customers actually buy your product and why they're buying it from you. Like we mentioned a minute ago, what they're buying is not just the part. They're buying that e-commerce experience. They're buying that specific part that they've probably interacted with in the absence of a sales rep, or maybe not. But again, is that part aligned? So the why can actually be the most difficult part of the W3 to validate. And it's certainly the one that more than any require customer interviews. So you need to understand the motivating behavior. Just like when we talked about the what, right? I'm selling a brake system into vehicle manufacturers. What I'm actually buying is safety. Well, why does safety matter to me? Well, safety matters to me because my paycheck's dependent on it, because I want to impress my boss, because this is the standard that our company set forth in your values. There's not a right or wrong answer to any of this, but you have to understand it. And it can be confusing. The what and the why can sometimes get a little bit blended together. But you have to remember the why is about the person. It's around the person behind that behavior and why they want to choose you and keep coming back over and over again. So hopefully this video was really helpful and gave you a good understanding of the W3 model and gave you some good frameworks to help get this started. Now, it's important as you go through this that you're actually writing this down, and I encourage you to also do this with other members of your team. But none of this is really going to be practical until we start testing it. And so in the next video, we're going to walk you through the specifics of doing a customer interview and how you can create really effective interviews to validate or not your W3 model. If you're interested and want to learn more, like and subscribe below.